People ask, people wonder, why are you a vegetarian? But they don't really ask, because they know. They know that it's incredibly unkind the way we treat animals. We exploit them. We treat them as though they weren't sentient beings, as if they had no feelings, as if they weren't creatures that suffered pain and fear, as if they weren't creatures that were meant to be living, not imprisoned and enslaved, killed and eaten. We have done worse to the animal kingdom than the Holocaust. We, your ordinary man in the street, are more fearful than Hitler in the way that we've treated animals, continue to treat animals. We demonstrate daily that we're an abomination in this planet, in this world, in this creation. We're able to be everything that God is not. Singularly unkind, singularly cold, calculating, singularly self-interested, singularly willing to inflict misery upon the creatures of this planet. And most of us have no need, no reason to be treating animals in this way. We simply do not have to do it. And we don't have to be a part of it. We don't have to be a part of their misery. We don't have to be a part of the economic incentive to continue our abominable treatment of them. Why are you so unkind when you don't need to be? It's beyond me. It's beyond me. Some of you are kind because it's in the interest of good health not to eat animals. And others now are doing it, not eating animals, because it's in the interest of keeping the planet. But I tell you, if you don't do it because of compassion, if you're not a vegetarian because of compassion, you'll cry out for compassion and wonder if you will receive it, because you haven't given it. You will taste of their misery, of their mistreatment, of their unhappiness in life. From us who have made their life a living death. The wonder of man is that he can hope that God will be kind despite his unkindness himself. The wonder of man is that he can cause such misery and expect God not to. The wonder of man is that he can be so ungodly and still trust that God will be wonderful, full of grace and forgiveness, love and kindness, always caring, always come that we might have life instead of the death we minister. What an astonishing creature we are, that we can give evil and expect good in return. How inexplicably wonderful. What should we be praying every day? Father, rescue me from my unkindness, from all the harm that I do. Let me not receive it back. And somewhere in this prayer it might occur to us that we could start to minimize the suffering that we cause. That we could reduce it much at very little cost to ourselves. And then we will be blessed by a realization that we can do it not at little cost to ourselves, but at tremendous benefit to ourselves. We have a principle, don't we? Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. How do you treat inferior species as you see it? How would you be treated then by God? How much more by God? How inferior are we to our infinite, wonderful Father? How are we so not matured as He is? Do you see why we suffer? We are to experience suffering so that we come to understand and realize the fruits of evil and of good, that we might choose that which is good and avoid doing that which is evil, wherever we can. How can I be comfortable in your company when you cause such misery on the planet? Am I to pretend that really you're quite wonderful and lovely and kind, good and beautiful, when you make no effort to avoid harming others? I'm not asking you to die for the animals, for goodness sake. I'm simply asking you to be kind and considerate where you can be, especially where it is at such minimal cost, in fact, great benefit to you. I'm not even asking you, I'm just stunned and amazed at your lack of kindness. How can you expect kindness when you don't give it? How can you delude yourself that you love animals when you're party to their enslavement and suffering, slaughter, and you eat their remains? It's beyond me that you're so unkind. It's just beyond me. How can you be so loving and caring and concerned for your own, much less for the children next door or the children down the street or the people you don't know or the animals you just know of? How can you be like that? What is it in you that's so frighteningly awful that you can be such an abomination and yet know what suffering is like? How long must you be in this hell outside of Eden, the Garden of Eden, outside, beyond? How long do you need to suffer such experience? Therefore, such unkindness is an abomination to you. Is your experience, your hell, to be commensurate to your abominable lack of kindness? God forbid. For surely there would be no end to your suffering. I now realize how reasonable your religions are that consider hell endless torment or endless reincarnation in the world of suffering and uncertainty. Now I know why your religions are so frightening. It's because you are. What else would you expect to come from such fallen creatures as your very self? Who will rescue you from such abomination, such terrible inclination? Certainly not someone like yourself. You will have to dream of a fantastic God who, in spite of your horribleness, your ghastly intent, still purposes to rescue you, still practices loving kindness towards you, still extends endless grace, year after decade after century, to the billions of you who are so unkind. What a fantastic God to dream of. Who would do this? Who would rescue you? Who would feel drawn to come to your aid? What incredible kindness. Surely it's misplaced. Surely such should be put on the loving and kind, the sensitive, those that wish no harm, those that avoid all unnecessary suffering, all that they can, always. Surely they are the ones to be the object of this grace and kindness, this compassion, this care. Surely they are the ones to experience such a fantastic creation as we see around us. This school that God has made. Not for the wonderful, but for the abysmally awful. To experience the fruit of the knowledge of good and evil, that they might cry out to God to be rescued from their own unkind intentions, their own lack of love. And we cry out daily to be released from who we are. My God, how wonderful we have to imagine you to be, to reach down to us. Thank you, Heavenly Father, that you've given us such imagination, such hope, despite our being so incredibly unkind. Thank you, Heavenly Father. And thank you too that we can turn from much of this at any moment that we wish. We're completely free to simply pursue loving kindness to all. We might find we're not free to pursue such perfectly, but we are free to pursue such wonderfully more than we have done so in the past. Thank you, Heavenly Father. Give us your heart of loving kindness, that we do so with ease and with great joy and gladness. Rescue us, Father, from being so horrible as we have been. Please rescue us. Thank you, Heavenly Father. Look, the least you can be is veggie. Nearly all of you that hear me can be veggie. Nearly all. You can do much to minimize the harm you're causing. You can, in some quantitative terms, conquer such to 90-odd% simply by becoming vegetarian. And perhaps you'll become vegan, perhaps you'll become fruitarian. I don't know how far you'll go, but there's no reason why you shouldn't be touched by loving kindness and compassion, and simply not be such an abomination as you have been. I don't want the whole planet to live in fear of me and in dread. My understanding of having dominion over the animals is not to be as a fearful dictator that consumes his people. That's not the dominion I seek, but a dominion that rescues them from the hardships that they suffer, not one that imposes abominable hardships on them. Thank you, Heavenly Father.